You're watching the chapter number 16 of the Blender Materials, Textures and Nodes course, Advanced Color Controls. In today's chapter, we'll be learning about all these topics in complete detail, and then we'll even use them in the retro gaming arcade scene that we have been creating in this course. And for those of you who are new to this course, do watch the previous 15 chapters from the link of the playlist given in the pinned comment. So I've opened this materials file where in the last chapter, we studied about the separating and the combining nodes in the shader editor. And today, our first topic will be to understand about the color ramp node. So we have already used the color ramp node a lot of times in this course, but we normally used it for understanding some other nodes. But today we'll again explore the color ramp node to understand each and everything available in this node. So for this, I'll first select this walnut texture material that we created in the chapter number 10 of this course, and to apply it, press tab to enter the edit mode, and with all the vertices selected, click on the assign button. After this, return back to the object mode, and we now have this walnut texture material applied to the UV sphere. And in this material, we used the color ramp node for creating these multiple colors that you can see in this texture. Now if I go to the shader editor, press Shift plus A, then go to converter and select the color ramp node and place it over here, then by default, the color ramp node will have only two pointers. The first one will have the black color and the other one will have the white color. And whichever pointer you select, its color and the position will be displayed over here. So if I select the black pointer, then its position will be equal to 0. As you can see here is the black color. Similarly with the second pointer, the position will be equal to 1 and the color, as you can see, is the white color. And yes, you can even move these pointers around by left clicking and dragging like this, and this will also change the position of that particular pointer. But for now, I'll press Ctrl plus Z to undo this. And yes, you might be thinking that what exactly is the use of moving these pointers around in the color ramp node. And to understand this, I'll try to move these pointers around in this color ramp node that we used for the walnut texture. So basically, by changing the position of these pointers, we can change the composition of different colors in the texture. And one more thing that you should keep in mind is that whatever color will have the more area in this color ramp will be displayed more in the texture also. For example, if I try to place all the other pointers very close to each other except for the red and the purple, then in this case you can notice that most of the area is being occupied by either the red color or the purple color. And the result of this is that in the texture also, most of the parts are having either the red color or the purple color. And yes, it is not like all the parts will have this exact red or this exact purple color, because many of them will also have the shades that you can see in between the red and the purple color. And yes, the same thing is also true for all these other pointers in this color ramp. Also, you can see in this color ramp that all of these colors are kind of blending with each other. And if you want to prevent that from happening, then you can go to the interpolation type by clicking here and change this from linear to constant. By doing this, we now have fixed colors that won't be blending with each other, and as a result, the colors that you get in the material will also be fixed and not the shades between any two colors. But for now, I'll change the interpolation type back to linear, and if you want to have all the colors equally distributed in the texture or the material, you simply need to click on this icon and select Distribute Stops Evenly. This will place all the pointers at an equal distribution or at equal spaces away from each other, giving us a texture or a material which has all the colors in equal proportion. And yes, obviously, the amount of yellow color will be slightly higher, and this is because it is present in center and is surrounded by the purple color as well as the green color. Therefore, it is blending with both the colors, giving the shades of yellow on both the sides. After this, in this default color ramp node, if you want to add some more pointers, then you simply need to click on this plus icon, which will place a new pointer exactly in the center of the existing pointers. And if you want to delete the selected pointer, then click on the minus icon, and now we have only two pointers in the color ramp node. Then to change the color, simply click here and change the color like this. So this was all about the color ramp node available in the shader editor. And now moving ahead, the next topic for this chapter is to understand about the RGB curves node. So to understand how it works, I'll first delete this color ramp node by pressing X, and let's now add the RGB curves node. So press Shift plus A, then go to color and select RGB curves. Let's place it over here, and now this node is used to make some adjustments in the color that you input, and after making the adjustments, it will give the resultant color with the color output socket. So to practically see how it works, we'll place it in between the color ramp node and the principal BSDF. After this, you can see in this node that we have these four options named as CRGB. C stands for the combined channels, R stands for the red channel, then G stands for the green channel, and B stands for the blue channel. And whichever channel is selected over here, it will allow you to make the adjustments in the color of that specific channel. For example, with the red channel selected, whatever changes I'll do in this node will only get applied to the red channel colors in the material. Similarly for the green and the blue also, but if I select the combined channels, then in that case, whatever changes we'll make in this node will get applied to all the colors in the material. Now in order to make any changes in the material, you first need to left click anywhere on this curve. So if I left click here, then we'll have a new point created at that particular position. And if I left click to move it around and release the left mouse click, then after that you will notice some slight changes in the object's material and the color. So basically, on moving the graph in the upward direction, the brightness of the image or of all the individual colors will increase, and if I move it downwards like this, then in that case, the brightness of all the colors in the material will reduce. In fact, you can even try to adjust this position of this pointer on this curve at other places also in order to get different results. After this, if you want to have the default position of the curve back in this node, then simply click here and select Reset Curve. Now if you notice closely, then on the bottom and the front part also, we are having two different pointers, and each of these has a specific function that we'll just understand. So with this pointer selected, which is at the bottom, if I try to move it up, then the brightness of all the dark colors will increase, and this is because this particular pointer at the bottom is there to control the dark colors in the material. Just the opposite of this is this pointer on the top, which controls the bright colors. So if I bring it down, then in that case, the brightness of bright colors will be reduced. This effect will be noticed more on the colors like yellow and green, because these are the bright colors in this material. Similarly, other colors like red and purple are much darker, and therefore their brightness will be controlled by this pointer present at the bottom. After this, if I select this red channel and make any changes on this curve, then its effect will be more visible on the red channels of different colors in the material. For example, if I bring this completely down, then you will hardly notice any red color in the material. However, if I take this pointer and drag it upwards like this, then in this case, you will notice a lot of red color in this material, which is because of the adjustments that we made in the red channel. Similarly, if I reset the curve and change this to the green channel and then try to make the adjustments like moving the curve up, then they will get applied to the green channels of the color in the material. And the same thing is also true for the blue channel in the RGB curves node. On moving the pointer upwards, that specific color will be displayed more in the texture, and on moving it downwards, you will hardly notice it in the texture anymore. So in the end, I would suggest you to try changing the curve for different channels and notice what changes you see in the colors of the material. But for now, I'll remove this node by pressing Alt, left clicking and dragging this away, and press X to delete. And now let's move to the next topic of this chapter, which is to understand about the invert color node. So to add it here, press Shift plus A, then go to color and select invert color. Let's place it over here. Now the invert color node will basically invert the color that you add as the input, and then it will give the resultant color as the output. See how it works? I'll connect this color socket, which is for the output, directly to the material output node, and after this you will notice that the color of the UV sphere will turn to the white color. However, in the color option that you see here, we have the black color selected, and since it is the invert color node, so it will invert that color from black to white and give the result as the white color. Similarly, if I go to the color option and increase the brightness, then in that case the input color will be white, then it will invert the color and change it to the black color. Just like this, if I go to the color option again and change the color to suppose blue, then in that case we'll get the color which is the opposite of blue in the color wheel, meaning the yellow color. And the same thing is also true for all the other colors in the color wheel. Whichever color you select, the resulting color will be somewhat similar to the color opposite to it in the color wheel. Then you have the factor value, using which you can control the influence of the inversion of colors. So yeah, in the end, this node is not something that you would normally use for creating any materials, but you might want to use it in some cases where you have some particular color as the input, and instead of making some changes directly in that color, you can use this node to invert that particular color. Now before moving forward, if you want to download this Blender file containing all the materials that we have created in this course, then you can join the Patreon, whose link is added in the description of this video. And now it's the time to use some of the concepts that we understood today in the retro gaming arcade scene that we started creating in the chapter number 1 of this course. So I've opened this file with the arcade scene, and in this chapter, we'll be adjusting the color of the brick texture on this wall by using the RGB curves node. So I've selected this plane, then go to the material properties, select the brick material, then go to the shader editor, and to add the RGB curves node, press Shift plus A, then go to color and select RGB curves. We'll place it in between the brick texture, and the principal BSDF node. After this, with the combined channel selected, if I add a point somewhere in the middle of the curve and move it in the upward direction, then in that case, the brightness of the colors will increase and we'll get the result where we'll have more of bright colors like yellow applied to the texture. Similarly, if I move this pointer in the downward direction, then in that case, we'll have more of the dark colors like the red color applied on this texture. But to get a realistic look, we have to make some adjustments in such a way that the pointer is somewhere close to the center of the curve only. In fact, if you want, you can even change this from combined to the red channel and then make the adjustments individually in the red color. Also, you can try to do a similar thing with the green channel or the blue channel by changing the curve like this. So it basically depends that which particular colors you want as the more prominent colors for the brick texture of your scene. And using the RGB curves node is definitely a better way to make the adjustments as compared to manually selecting the colors and then making the adjustments in the color wheel. And for now, I think that the texture on this wall is having the perfect colors. So finally, we now arrive to the end of this chapter. Today we learned about the color ramp node, the RGB curves node, and even the invert color node. Before ending, if you wish to download this Blender file containing the complete retro gaming arcade scene, then you can join the Patreon, whose link is added in the description. And so our next chapter will be the chapter number 17, displacement node. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel, press that notification bell so that you can get timely updates about the upcoming chapters. Thank you for watching and we'll see you in the next one.